Hope you guys are doing well. So I did an interview this weekend and I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it up on the vlog, but I'm going to put it up. I hope you guys like it. It's just audio. Feel free to follow my boy on Spotify. The link's below. I hope it's a blessing for you guys. I have some more vlogs coming up regarding the land, regarding business. So talk to y'all soon.
Welcome back to another episode. Today's a good one, man, because I know this dude for about, 10 years or so. We go way back to when I was active in church, man. I remember our first Sabbath of Hoeing that you guys came out. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show. So big shout out to my boy Jimmy Estrada, man. Welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having us on or having me on.
Yeah.
But one thing I'll say, everywhere I went, because I was brand new to the church after being gone for a while, and everybody knew Obi. I'll tell you that. I thought Obi was just famous where I met him. But I would go out to Houston, everybody knew Obi.
Yeah, that's true.
I went out to California, everybody knew Obi. I'm like, yo, Obi's the man. So Obi was like the Diddy of the church.
Hey, what's up? But you know what's funny, man? Like, no cap, no lie, man. I kind of miss that, dude. But I guess as time guys, as time flies, I guess you gotta retire,
I guess so, right? Did you change your name? No, right? You kept
No,
it?
not at all, man. I've digressed. I'm not as popular as I used to be in a church scene world. So I need to get back in it, man, because those are good times, man. Back when, growing up in church, and then, especially doing these Sabbath of Hope programs, man. Like, they were definitely a blessing. I really felt the Holy Spirit working, man. And I remember the very first one, because we had a concert with you guys.
Yeah.
I wish I would have sold tickets because it was sold out. Like, it was like full. It was packed. And I think for Dallas West, so shout out to them because that's my home church. I think that was the first time they ever had a Sabbath home win, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But I mean, to have a concert, like, I had friends from like everywhere show up that weekend, man, which is a true blessing, man. And it was a blessing for me in itself. I mean, I definitely felt the Holy Spirit that day or that week.
Glory to God.
And as a matter of fact, I was talking to Josh as well about it, like, not too long ago. We're like, man, like, I felt like we were on top of the world, man. Good spiritual life, good personal life, and but stuff goes on in life and whatnot. But again, thank you for coming on, man.
Appreciate it, man.
I know we talked earlier this week about some stuff, and man, like, you dropped some fire that day, man, and some knowledge on me, man. I mean, like, we definitely got into some, some subject. But today, we're gonna keep it chill. We're gonna keep it light, funny. Like, reminisce about old times, about truth. Your ministry that you guys had, but just to fall back. Like you said, like, back then you were new to church. Give us a little quick introduction of Jamie Estrada and you growing up, and so people can know who is Jamie, for those who don't know who Jimmy is.
But great question, man. I don't know if I could answer that correctly, but I'll tell you some basic facts. I was born in California, Southern California, LA area. I was born specifically in Glendale. I did elementary out there. My mother had me 5 days before she turned 15.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so shout out to my mom, who I love dearly. She's still in the DFW area. I'm currently in Puerto Rico. From there, we moved to Puerto Rico. I did some junior high in Puerto Rico, just a year actually in Puerto Rico. From Puerto Rico, we moved to Texas. We knew nothing about Texas. I really thought it was just going to be like horses and like seriously, I didn't know any better.
Why do people get that stigma of Texas, man? It's just like horses, carriages.
Yeah, because this is before social media. So that's number one. So all you saw were like, Chuck Norris. And at that time, Chuck Norris had that one show. I forgot.
Walker, Texas Rangers. Yeah.
So we thought, okay, that's what Texas is. So anyway, I moved to Texas. I went to Irving when I first moved there for like 6 months. Did school there. And then I ended up going to Arlington and did high school in Arlington. And I was raised in the church. As far as I remember, I've always been in church. I was raised in a very strict, conservative Seventh-day Adventist church. Overall, I guess being a guy, I don't have as much complaints as girls would.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't so much about makeup or it was different for dudes. But what felt like home church for me after leaving California, my truly home church was actually, shout out to Oak Cliff Church.
That's right.
I know you're from BG, but Oak Cliff Church. Let's not get into some year.
Yeah, we didn't get no rival going on, church rivalry.
No, none of that. So I definitely enjoyed that. But I'll just say this, man. I think that I was told about Jesus my whole life. I just never saw him.
Right.
So I was raised in the church, but I can't say I was raised in a relationship with Christ. I just heard about him. And I like to, side note, I think most of them who were in church and still are, they just heard of him. They ain't really seen him. So I left the church at a young age, 16, 17. I just decided to stop going to church. I was living on my own. 18, 19, living on my own. And, I just stopped going to church. It was more of laziness. And I really wanted to get into the music industry. And church wasn't going to really help me out in any way or form. So that's kind of my quick background of being out. And then I came back after being out for about 10 years. I decided to give my life to the Lord.
Yeah, and I was going to say also, like, in introduction, it just hit me right now, composer, executive producer. I mean, like, because I want to touch that also, because being that you were, how you said that you left church, like, and I know you're really big into music. I think I remember vaguely in these truth presentations, how you touched that, lifestyle back, being out in the secular world, composing, producing music. Give us a little glance of how, for those who don't know, like how was it, or how is it in that world, in the secular music, being that you were out in that?
That's a great question. I think from my situation may be a little different than every other person. There's 2 points I want to make before I get into
how
details.
Did you get started in that?
Perfect. Great question. Yeah. So one of my points that I want to make is I would say every single person that I personally met in the music industry, every single one of them came from a Christian background.
Okay.
That's a really good point I want to make. But my mom was really strict in the sense that I was not able to watch a lot of TV. Yeah. So even though she wasn't home, I fear that she would pop up, because that's my mom. She would just pop up in the middle of nowhere.
Spanish
and you get beat up. It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
And the 2 shows I remember I was never allowed to watch was The Simpsons and Married with Children. Like, that was a no. Those were the 2 shows, like, if my mom saw that when I was watching the show, bro, it was over. But I remember that we had a piano at the house.
Okay.
And my uncle had taught me how to play Heart and Soul, I think is the name of the song. It's the one that goes dun 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 dun.
Okay, dun dun dun. Yeah.
He told me to play those chords. That's all I knew. Play those 4 chords.
The basic.
And what I started doing is started slowing them down. I started writing love songs to them. I started doing just different things with those same 4 chords.
Yeah.
And just being creative, I decided to play those chords in different sequences. Anyway, at a young age, I knew, wait, I want to write songs. I want to produce. And I wasn't thinking about fame or money. I just knew that's what I wanted to do.
That's what you wanted to do.
So fast forward, we moved to Puerto Rico. By the way, this time I'm in 6th grade. We moved to Puerto Rico. I don't touch music for a whole year, but I was introduced to reggaeton for the first time, which it was barely coming out at that time.
Yeah.
This is before Daddy Yankee was Daddy Yankee. He was known.
Like Vico C area, right?
Yeah, Vico C, Daddy Yankee, Playero.
Okay.
That time.
Man, you in old school.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm telling you, this is like the birth of reggaeton, you know? And I remember that I went to school, and in my school, it was a rough school in Puerto Rico that I went to. They assumed that because I came from LA that I was some thug, and I wasn't. But that's what the school system thought. So they put me in a classroom full of, rough dudes, and I'm not rough at all. And but I had to learn to fit in. So I'm not a fighter. I'm not, somebody who's ridiculous in sports. So I'm like, I'm either gonna get beat up every day, or I gotta figure this out. So I remember that in the school bus we were in, I won't get into details so I don't get nobody in trouble, but we had tinted windows, big yellow school bus, tinted windows, and reggaeton playing, right?
Okay.
And the guys would go to the back of the school bus, and they would kind of freestyle.
Okay.
Now, even though my Spanish wasn't that good, I never got made fun of, because, remember, a lot of people look to America as a forerunner of what cool is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't know Spanish. I knew Spanish, but not like Spanish like here in PR. So they took me in the sense that este el americano is what they called me. El americano, mira.
Yeah.
Teach is a cool word. So anyway, I went home and I wrote down my first Spanish flow.
What?
And I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the back of the bus and I'm just going to spit. I'm going to do my thing, right?
Hold on. Do you still remember those lyrics?
I do. They're super whack, but I'll show you.
Bust out. Okay. Exclusive.
That I probably shouldn't say. So I think I only wrote like 4 bars in Spanish because I didn't know Spanish.
Okay.
Right. And then the Spanish I knew were like very proper Spanish.
Yeah.
So these guys ain't talking proper. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know? So I was like, yo, what do I do? So what I did is after my 4 bars, I didn't know what to say. I flipped it in English, but because they didn't speak English,
they didn't understand.
Dude, I could have said A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They didn't even know what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
and they were hyping you up.
That was enough, and that's exactly what happened. So I went. I was scared. They're doing the beat, the beat, the reggaeton beat. I'm like, okay, go. So I get up and I walk to the back, and they're looking, what you doing here? And like, yeah, this is like my first week of school because I'm trying to like, fit in.
Yeah.
And I went in, and I think the rhyme went like this. Y'all can count on me later.
No,
it went something like this. It says, te canto lo que canto, te digo lo que digo, venga de Puerto Rico, say your número no chic. And then from there, I forgot. And it gets into some bad words, so we won't get into that. And after that, the big thing in Puerto Rico at that time was if you could rap and like stay with the, Daddy Yankee was like, there was that real state on that tip. So I just kind of threw myself in that. And I remember that 2 things I learned. Number 1, I don't want to be an artist.
Okay. But
I definitely wanted to write for people. I wanted to produce for people. Never cared much about the spotlight. I figured, I knew my lane.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I had the looks for it. I didn't want to be on stage. I didn't care much about the fame. So once we left,
I'm a behind the scene type of person.
I always wanted to do that. So I got into reggaeton just to fit in. But my day-to-day music that I would listen to, because in my house you could only listen to Christian music.
Of course.
So the day-to-day music I would listen to on the down low was Jerry Rivera, salsa.
Oh man, El Niño la Salsa, right?
Yeah,
I think that's
Niño,
I think he's supposed to be in Dallas too, by the way.
Okay. Shout out to Jerry Rivera. So I listened to a lot of his music. I always was into R&B, and salsa was the closest thing because salsa, the music itself, has a lot of R&B chords.
Correct.
I like the fact that it's in our blood. And then the words were romantic. So to me, it was like, hey, this is like Boyz II Men, but in a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
So that's really what I want to do, songwriter. I moved to Texas. I'm now in high school in Arlington. Shout out to James Bowie High. I'm out there, and once again, I don't know nobody. Keep in mind, my whole life, I don't know people because I'm constantly moving.
Traveling, yeah, you're moving.
Yeah, constantly. I mean, elementary, I think I went to 4 different elementary schools.
Oh, wow.
Junior high, I went to 3 different junior highs.
Jeez.
High school, I went to 1. So I was like, yo, how can I fit in here? So I would actually skip class and go to the music hall.
Really?
Yeah. And I would go to the piano room.
So that was like your little scapegoat, right?
It was. But
to go to
how messed up the system is. Look how messed up the system is. If you make good grades, you could be in band, you could be in choir, then you're allowed. However, look how messed up the system is. There's people that learn through music, and one of the reasons why their grades aren't good is because they're being taught a traditional way.
Correct.
So they never get the opportunity to be taught the way that they could actually shine. You feeling me?
True.
So anyway, shout out to my teachers out there. So I wanted to say, yo, what can I play in the piano that I could catch? I went to school, and primarily my school, I'm half Mexican, I'm half Puerto Rican, but I was raised in my Puerto Rican family.
Puerto Rican ways.
So a lot of my Mexican people push me to the side because they're like, you're not really Mexican. I'm like, but I'm half. They're like, nah, you're talking Puerto Rican. You have Puerto Rican. So naturally, I vibed more with the blacks in my school. So, and I loved R&B. So the very first song I learned to play in the piano to catch attention was Brian McKnight's song called Anytime.
Ooh, classic.